Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm a Ukrainian, and I have decided I will vlog daily from my country Ukraine since the start of this awful war with Russia. And in my daily videos I try to update you on the important real-life situations in my country Ukraine, and of course I'm always glad to answer your questions and to clarify some facts from our history, culture, background, or whatever interests you. In my today's vlog, I have decided to dedicate to the death of a truly important person, Queen Elizabeth II. Personally, I liked her a lot. My attitude towards her evolved and changed because when I was at school, I was a huge fan of Princess Diana. I know they had complicated relations, and now in my age, I have come to understand that perhaps Queen Elizabeth is to some extent closer to me. Let me know, by the way, it's really interesting for me to know how do you feel about these two ladies and who is closer to your, I don't know, feeling of obligation, life, and attitudes. I think it's really difficult to be a queen, and today there are lots of monarchies all over the world, but there are not many people who can be considered real kings and queens, and she was one. Of course, modern world, democracies, unions, they demonstrate us that power decisions are made differently and they should not be inherited, but this symbolic power that the queen has is something unusual and sometimes important, something that helps to save the identity. If I had a choice to live in a monarchy or in a post-USSR country, definitely I would like us to preserve our monarchy and then maybe evolve into a democracy. But Ukraine did not have the chance because we were occupied by Soviets, and you all know how many lives it costed us. So in general, when I studied at school, it was a specialized school, and we were reading some newspapers from England like Digest, and there were much information about the royals. So I feel like I'm more into royal family than many Ukrainians who did not go to a school like that. And that's why when I come across various news about the princes, about Kate Middleton, about Meghan Markle, I typically read them because I know them. And I can even compare someone, for example, to Prince Andrew, and only those who studied, for example, in a similar school can understand whom am I talking about. Ukraine once also had royal traditions, and most importantly, there are historical facts that demonstrate that really long ago, one of Ukrainian knyaz, princess could have been the relative of Queen Elizabeth. For example, Yaroslav Mudry, who is the builder of Sofia Cathedral, where Boris Johnson was during one of his first visits to Ukraine. This is a very beautiful cathedral, very symbolic one, and Yaroslav Mudry was known for the fact that he was very wise, because actually his nickname Mudry is wise in Ukrainian, and also he was like a, I don't know, father-in-law of many European monarchies, and he had lots of children, and they were married to different kings and queens all over the world. For example, Queen Anna of France, and who comes from Kiev, and now many people talk about that because Russians also tried to steal her, but she is the daughter of Yaroslav Mudry, and it seems to me by this branch she is also a relative of Queen Elizabeth II. So maybe long ago we were relatives, and we still are, because I feel there is much in common between Ukraine and Britain. And once again, we are grateful for this support, but also because Britain was one of the strongest, bravest countries at the beginning of the Second World War, an island that demonstrated its strengths and did no fear when coming in contact with Nazi regime. And the decision of the people of Britain, the decision of Winston Churchill, was extremely important in the run of the Second World War. And something similar is happening right now in Europe, when comparing to Russia, a small country, Ukraine, demonstrates its strength and bravery and is able to inspire the world to help and stand against the Russism. So I do think there is much in common between Ukrainians and Britons, and we are very grateful for the support that you demonstrate us. Also, it was interesting for me to look through some facts that connect Queen Elizabeth with Ukraine. She has never visited the country, and that's a pity, but it seems to me that her daughter and her husband, Prince Philip, visited back in the USSR times when we were still occupied by the Soviets. But she visited Edmonton, Wisconsin, close to Edmonton in Canada, which is the recreation of the Ukrainian village, and there she saw a huge painted egg known as pisanka, and which is one of the symbols of Ukraine. Also, she spoke about the support of our country, Ukraine, during this challenges time, during the Orange Revolution, after Maidan Revolution. She demonstrated that, and she also spoke about war in Ukraine and the importance of the protection of Ukrainian independence and cultural identity this year in her address to Parliament in May 2022. Also, she wore some suits that were yellow and blue, because as a queen she cannot demonstrate her political will, but at the same time her symbolism, she knew, it's difficult to speak of her in the past, she knew how to put in important messages. That's why definitely she is a very, very important person for Ukrainians. And to tell you the truth, when I have watched a video for her jubilee with the Paddington bear, I had a feeling that this was also a message for Ukraine because of the clothes she was wearing, but also because Paddington was dubbed by Zelensky president. So in Ukrainian, Paddington speaks with the voice of our President Zelensky. Of course, he dubbed him before he became a president and before the war started, but for me, Paddington speaks the voice of President Zelensky. So when we saw Queen Elizabeth having tea with Paddington for her jubilee, we had this feeling that this was President Zelensky acting as Paddington together with her, and that is also a demonstration of support. I know that much money are spent on monarchy, on these palaces, various events, but at the same time, for me, well, the longer I live, the longer I understand that politics often disappoints. And when you associate your country with politicians, you can feel fed up. You know what bad things are going on in your country. But when you associate it with the monarchy, with people who do more of, I don't know, performances, who speak about culture, who support various charity organizations, from one point of view, it's expensive, but from the other point of view, it's a different kind of close to political identity, but at the same time, not political. So I cannot tell you that I am against monarchy. I do understand that the queen reigns but not rules, but the symbolism is important. And maybe if we had a queen or a king in Ukraine, apart from the president or parliament, it would be easier for us to protect and to be more relaxed about our cultural identity. Because even if something happens to a president, or if we have a figure like Yanukovych, who was totally created by Russian criminal who later escaped to Russia because he wanted to sell our country easier to Russia. And then, for example, if you have a normal queen or king at the same time, it is definitely easier to monitor and rule the situation. So anyway, I have to tell you that all over Ukraine, people feel the grief because Queen Elizabeth II was a symbol of the epoch. 96 years, that's a lot. And at the same time, you feel unusual in the world that does not have its queen anymore. But long live to the new king, and long live to traditions, because I think that identity and traditions are very, very important in the health of a country. Thank you for your support. Thank you for watching these videos. If you like them, thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, because I believe the world needs to know more about Ukraine as the war here continues. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons, and please get acquainted with our new project, Soviet Myths Debunked, which is a separate video list on my channel. Slava Ukraini!